I think not having anywhere to go right now is making me the most anxious. Because when you're pregnant, all you want to do is nest and clean and, you know, just get things ready for the birth of your new baby. And I like can't do that. It's driving me crazy. So not knowing where we're physically going or when is the hardest part right now. It's on my mind constantly.
We wanted to move somewhere beautiful and we wanted to buy a house.
When we had Hugh, I thought that we just were going to have one child, and then, you know, a couple of years later you sort of think, oh, wouldn't it be nice to go back to that baby phase just one more time? Something inside you propels you to keep our species going or something, you know, but really want to have another child. And it took me a year to get in to see the specialist. You know, you've got like a 5% chance of getting pregnant. And hopeless. He said, you know, why don't you just, just be happy with what you've got. So we stopped and boom, 1 month later I was pregnant.
I think first when I found out that I was pregnant, I think I had a very naive vision of pregnancy. When it's your first baby, it's like every appointment, it's more important than your own birthday or whatever. When you want to know what's going on. I went to a walk-in clinic and basically at the end they were like, oh, congratulations, you're pregnant. Here's a copy of Baby's Best Chance, and just like woke me out of the door. Okay, this is not exactly answering all my questions because I had tons of questions coming up. Yeah, I want to have a home birth, and they're like, oh, you can't. I was like, what do you mean you can't? And they say, no, there's no maternity care over there. Birth must happen 30 minutes or less than the hospital. And I realized, okay, so it's gonna be a lot more challenging than what I thought. Even if you don't want a home birth here, you still need a place because you're gonna have to wait a little bit. You're not gonna drive that road in labor. I mean, this is crazy.
The last few weeks of your pregnancy, I would say it's nice to be in your home and be able to nest and know that you can put food in the freezer or, you know, stock up your groceries and have your community members, you know, that they're going to be there for you. I couldn't necessarily do that. I had to pack, I had to prepare, I had to travel. It's like you're going on vacation. You're closing up your home, you're going away for a few weeks, but you're not going away on vacation. You're going away to have a baby. So it's something that should be, you know, a big life event, and it should be something you celebrate with your community. But I was feeling all this work that had to come in order to get there. It's devastating, I would say.
It was really stressful for me. It was like in my mind constantly, we have to find a place, because I don't know, I think it was just important for me like to know where I can like settle a little bit and just be comfortable and be ready to give birth to this child. We didn't know anybody, we have no family here, we have no friend here, and there is anybody helping you to find a place. So basically you have to call some people and let them know like, hey, I just want to rent your place between 2 to 4 weeks. You know, it might be longer, it might be shorter, we don't know. Oh, what for? We'd just like to have a home birth at your place, is that okay? It'll be a little bit of screaming, like, this is very delicate. That was kind of the sad part. It was like, you're healthy, everything's fine, and then you don't have the service provided for that. Like, you still have to fight to find a place just to give birth, which was for me something that was just really supposed to be easy. All those problems, where are we going to have the baby and everything, came into your mind.
Yeah, a bit
probably
later for sure.
than for me.
For us, that was just like, it's supposed to be just all happiness. Celia is pregnant, we're gonna have a baby, that's cool. Like, that's all about the feeling of expecting a baby, which is supposed to be nice. And actually it started to be a lot of worries. And I'm like, oh, maybe we're unconscious, maybe we're crazy, we're asking too much. So I was, there was a part of me really happy and trying to enjoy the day-to-day life, and another part which was, of course, stress.
In the wintertime here, there's snow in the mountain pass. When you're commuting for prenatal appointments, it's almost impossible to go there and back in a day. You have to take a full day off work. You think of someone living in an urban center, they pop in for their appointment and on their lunch break. Well, for me, it's a full day. If I can't be back to pick up my daughter at school, then I have to take her with me. And if I have to take her with me, then I have to take another adult with me. So that's a lost day of productivity to the business.
I started searching for a midwife around here. That was something really important for me. And I thought, oh, there'll be tons of midwives, of course. There was just one. So it was like kind of not really an equal relation, like, are you happy with my service? So it was really like, you're lucky,
For many months in the winter time, we were really overwhelmed. We need to find an option, even if that's more driving and costing us more money as well, because of course it's, one day off you have to take and a lot of driving. If Celia is 7 months pregnant, she's not going to drive to get there, so we have to be both present, take a car. It takes a full day, to drive there just for an appointment. Find a place where Celia can give birth, and like being at that place maybe 1 month before, because you never know, and then like not being too far from an hospital, and that's where it got really complex. It was complication after complication, but I didn't see it like that. I just felt, okay, there is a problem, we're gonna try to figure a way out. Like, I was still not exhausted completely.
They say, yeah, we might have some space available, so it clicked right away. So the first thing I asked them was like, I want a home birth, but I need some help to try to find a place. And they arrived on my first appointment with a list of 3 pages with places that you could rent by, week, by 2 weeks or by month, and where you can have a home birth. I was like, this is just what I needed. Like, just a list where I can go and they're comfortable with people having a home birth. So simple. And I don't understand why there is no such option here, where it's a touristic place and there could have been a lot of options.
The only problem that you have these days, I think, is that they seem compelled to, or perhaps they have to, tell you everything that can go wrong. It's childbirth that happens every second probably, doesn't it? It's nature. We're to inform, best just to let it all happen. For pregnancy and birth, you need nothing. You could do it on a dime. Like, you don't need all the things that, apparently, all the things you can buy these days. You don't need any of them. Ignorance is bliss. Just to simplify things. And my mum's era, my mum's, born in 31. She didn't tell me a lot about childbirth because she wasn't told. I hadn't pre-arranged accommodation. I was so sort of thinking, I'm going to go in that day, having the next day we'll be back. I was just expecting it to boom. I was expecting to have the baby the next day, and it didn't happen. Nothing happened. And then 2 days went by and we were staying in a hotel, and then Margaret, the midwife that we'd met, came and stripped my membranes again. And I was having random cramps here and there, but nothing sort of sustained. And so then we moved to the seedy hotel next door, to make it a bit cheaper. I hadn't really got that much of a change of clothes. By that point, I'd got into my head that I wanted to go back. I wanted to come home. And I kept saying, I just need to go change clothes and we'll come back. And I spoke to the midwife on the phone. She was, please don't leave. Please don't leave. And the Sunday morning, I said to her, we're on our way. We had dinner and went to bed. And then I woke up an hour later at 11:30 in, full blown. I couldn't talk. It was like a minute apart. They were coming and I got on the phone to the midwife. She said, put lots of towels in the car and start driving. I will meet you. And I woke Adam up and he goes, no way, we are not driving that road in the middle of the night with towels in the car. Like, no. And he got on the phone and the ambulance met us. And he said, they can decide, better to go on that road in an ambulance if you give birth in the car. We got in, and the two nurses were in there looking at me like, oh, because it was so sudden and, so painful. And I was just like, I don't know, doing this weird sort of groaning. You don't know where it comes from. You're just like, oh, it's pain. They had me on a gurney sort of thing, because they're not used to birthing there. She's like, you have to get up on the bed thing, He checked me out. And then I said, so, he was like, oh, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've done that. And he was like, but his fingers like, I just remember thinking, oh my God. And then boom, like a breath of fresh air, Dr. Marshall came wafting through. She's our local doctor, and she said she heard the ambulance go by. So he was born within 25 minutes of getting to the hospital, and then we were home the next day by noon.
I'm gonna cry. I still find it very hard. They sent me right back there. It would have been much easier because her actual delivery was amazing. I had a massage at noon. We drove back to the vacation rental. So my water broke just after 4, and said to my husband, stop folding laundry. He was madly doing laundry. I guess he was panicking and wanted to have clean linens. And we called the midwives, and the baby was born within an hour of the water breaking. So if we had been in Ucluelet, we probably wouldn't have made it to Tofino. By 6 o'clock, my husband was making dinner and we all went to bed. So if we had been home, that would have been quite normal, but we had to we stayed a week to make sure we had some postpartum care, because once we get back here, driving 3 hours one way to go see our midwives, that's pretty challenging. So we only did one follow-up appointment once we left.
First-time parents, we got super excited. Yeah, we're gonna have a baby! But it doesn't happen like that. It's been past 12 hours, so now the recommendation normally is to go to the hospital. And we're like, wait a minute. What do you mean going to the hospital? I mean, we moved to be safer on the East Coast, and now you're telling us we're not safe anymore here, and that it can go way worse. And my man was like, where does it stop, this risk? I prepared myself during months and months for that purpose. I thought I was mentally ready for that, but actually sometimes it doesn't happen the way you want it. I think I was really stressed, and my body just say, okay, wait and see, shut down everything. In the morning, it was already the second night, we didn't get a lot of sleep. And we were just completely exhausted. Because you hold on, your partners, on some stuff around you that makes you strong.
Celia was close to give up and say, you can do whatever you want, now that's I'm just tired, exhausted, and that's not what I wanted anyway, so now it can be even worse. And me, I was like, okay, I do understand, but the worst case situation will be a C-section, so let's try to do things so we don't have to go that far,
And finally, Mathis was born at 6 p.m. at the hospital, and he was 8 pounds 11 ounces.
For the most part, if we're not here, the business doesn't really happen. So we had to, leading up to leaving town, shut down the business and all the little things you don't think about, like change your voicemail and, make sure that your customers know. Like, we're trying to do all of this while running the business still, taking care of the family and, being very pregnant. We weren't able to recover from having a baby and being away until about the end of June. It wasn't just that 3 weeks we were away, it was the lasting impact it had afterwards. How much it cost us to be away, I would say, like just in accommodation alone was probably about $2,500. And then there's meals and gas, so thousands I would say. And then there's the lost productivity, which, I couldn't even begin to put a number on.
We tried everything, and it never, lead to something. And finally, when we found the way, okay, we have something, we can keep going in that way.
Before that, there was the stress of not having a care at all at the beginning of the pregnancy, then having some care, but that were not what we were expecting, and then finally, the last 3 months, there is few resources, in my opinion, for a pregnant woman to inform them about pregnancy. There was something I was missing. I was expecting to get some swimming lesson for pregnant women, yoga. I think it was like really a problem of communication and bringing pregnant women together. This is a moment, but this moment, you prepare it. It has an impact on how you feel after. This is a moment that is very particular in a woman's life, and I think it's important that everything goes as smooth as it can go.
Even thinking about it, I cry because I literally feel like, her birth was so simple, and yet when you're not in your home and you don't have your support system in your bed and you're living somewhere else that isn't necessarily comfortable. And, we were fortunate that we could rent a place. Some people end up staying in a bedroom with a family member or a friend, and they can't control the environment. We were lucky. We were in a separate space, and so we did have some control over what was happening, and we did make the best of it. But it was very challenging for sure. I feel like that is a big burden for the women in the community to bear. It's a lot of money, a lot of time, and I just feel it's placing like a really unfair responsibility on rural families because we all pay into the same system and our access to services is very limited. We get less care, right? We get less time with a doctor or a midwife. For me to have to drive to my midwife is over 200 kilometers one way. I think that if women that were low risk, that felt comfortable delivering here, could deliver here, then we wouldn't have to leave your community. That money could stay in your pockets and pay for your kids' soccer or whatever, right? It wouldn't be going to accommodation just to have your baby and to be away from your community. And you hear in the co-op, "Are you back? Oh, you're back, you had your baby," or "When are you leaving?" And it's not like, "When are you leaving to have your baby?" It's like, "When are you leaving?" Because it's so common that everyone knows what you're talking about. You're leaving to have your baby. And I remember when she was a little one, being in the co-op grocery lineup, and someone had said something like that to me. "Oh, where did you go to have your baby?" And this lady's ears just perked up and she said, "What do you mean you have to go somewhere?" She was a visitor and she was shocked that every family had to leave the community to have a baby. It wouldn't stop me though. If I wanted to have another one, I would have another one. And we would do it all over again. Denise, come to Mom. Mayari, come over here. Come see. Come to Mom. Mama. Mama.
I think the actual birth experience, I really, I didn't want to leave here. It was more emotional than sad, I suppose. And you look back, it's just sort of like, oh gosh, what a waste of time. I think I just felt really disconnected in the pregnancy. I felt really removed. And when we were leaving, we were just like, oh, so happy to get out of there, to come home, and went to bed, you know, just like really happy to be back on the coast.
So it's a shame, but if it's just a standard birth, like,
You never
why
know
couldn't they? No, I
what the risks
suppose
of the
not. But it just seemed too easy. I mean, we were gone the next day and they were all so happy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's a liability thing or whatever, but
Yeah.
passing the liability off to the parents-to-be to rush as fast as they can to be at any time of year, it doesn't seem safe either.
They're like, you better move 2 weeks before because this is absolutely not safe and this is not responsible, you know, from you toward the society if you have to call 911. Well, for me, this is not equal treatment towards women. Me, if I could do more to convince women to fight for more rights, I'll totally do it. You know, I'll be the first in the street, I think.
We made some strong decisions living overseas on a remote part. We don't choose the easier path for sure. And me, I really want to say we're aware of it, you know, and I don't want to seem we're complaining about some services we didn't have while we made the decision to go remote.
We live in an island, we live in a remote area. We know that there is risk. There is risk every day, not just for births. So for me, it's not really like an excuse not even to try. We took some risk during my pregnancy. We agree with those risks. You can't always have somebody taking responsibility for you. At one point, it's your responsibility as well. Sometimes it's more rewarding at the end, so it has to be taken for me into consideration. You can't just see one side and see all the risk in one part. You have to take the benefits.
It's put a lot of added stress on me and our family, just not knowing where we're gonna go, and the baby's coming in 4 months. And that's a scary thing to think about, having to drive over the past 2 hours with my children in labor and no cell phone reception. So do I book a place for all of June, for 30 days? Do I book it for 2 weeks? Do I hope, is the baby going to come at that time? And that's a huge expense. So something that a lot of people go through, not just us on the West Coast. And bringing a human into this world shouldn't be an act of desperation. It should be a right.